5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
To another episode of The Pixel Show. Thanks for watching. Appreciate everybody being here. Today, we are going to do the second edition of I Wish I Took That. So this show, just a little quick background. I'm always looking around on the internet for images that I love and inspiration for me and my work. I'm sure everyone does that, of course. And I would look at pictures and go, oh man, I wish I took that. And so that's sort of the how I named the show. So I pick each week or each episode when we do this, anywhere from 7 to 10 images, whatever I'm inspired by, and kind of give you a cross-section and bring your attention to photographers that you may not have heard of or know. So let's jump in. And before we do, really quickly, I wanted to, if this is your first time watching the show or multiple shows, I just wanted to draw your attention to some previous episodes. Our most recent episode is the third one here, close-up photography with the 24-1428. So I'm not using it as a wide lens. We're out in the field and we're shooting close-up, so I'm giving you a different way to look at it. We also show you some images from the 24-105. There's one of our first episodes, the 135 G Master, the 135 1.8. I had that lens about a week before it came out, and Sony let me shoot it, and I did some epic bridal fashion in the snow, so check that out. There's the Bio Show, episode 1, so if you want to be like, what are these guys all about, and you want to know more about us and where we're going with this show, you can watch the Bio Show. The Power of Simple is an ongoing series that we do where I help you simplify your images to make them more powerful. And the other one, How to Use Motion Blur, is just one of the things that we talk about in The Power of Simple. We talk about all sorts of things, depth of field, rule of thirds, color, light. So anyway, those are some other episodes. You can look at those. So let's jump right into the first image on I Wish I Took That. So the first image is a wedding image. My background is wedding photography, but I am a photographer and I shoot lots of things, but I'm very partial to weddings. So this very first image is by a couple. They're called the Chrismans, Erin and Ben Chrisman, but Erin happened to take this image. And when I saw this image, I was like, oh my gosh, how beautiful is this? Like how lucky, how amazing. Maybe it's not luck, maybe it's skill, but I always say photography is a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill. But I just love this image. You can see that for those of you that don't shoot weddings, like I know, it's a Jewish wedding. The first way I know that is because both parents are walking the bride down the aisle. And then the second would be the kippah or the yarmulke on the man's head. And I just love the veil, she's got the focus, shallow depth of field right on the very end of the veil. Depth of field, again, we talk about this in Power of Simple, is one of the best ways to tell a story through one image, depth of field, because you can focus on one particular thing and draw the attention to that and then show the rest of the image how you want, take away from it, if you will. And just the fact that the end of this veil blowing in the wind as the bride and the parents walk down the aisle is absolutely stunning. So Erin, I love this image. If you watch this episode, hopefully you will. Amazing, amazing. Go to their website, Chrisman Studios. They do a lot of destination weddings. I've always admired these two. I've always thought their photography is absolutely beautiful. And I'm really picky when it comes to wedding photography. And they've always been one of my favorites and right up there. So if you've never seen the Chrismans, of course, you can go to chrismanstudio.com. And their Instagram is Chrisman Studios. The next is a portrait image, also by a photographer that I've kind of always admired. He also does weddings, but I think of him more as a portrait guy. And we've met each other. We're acquaintances. We have never really hung out. But his name is Parker J. Pfister. And this image of this guy smoking the pipe, I just absolutely think is amazing. Now, Parker really pushes the boundaries when it comes to portraiture. He likes to combine current technologies with older technologies. I mean, this to me looks like film. I don't know that it is or isn't, but I think that was probably his goal, is to make this look a little bit like film if it's not. But I just love the simplicity of this image. The guy smoking the pipe. You have the exhale coming out and the smoke blending with the beard, as well as the pipe itself coming up next to him, sort of framing him in. I love the goggles that he chose. And again, here, shallow depth of field. They're focusing on the eyes, if you will, or the goggles or the glasses that this gentleman's wearing. And the black and white really, really gives it a nice, authentic look to it, makes it feel old and classic. If I were this guy, I would love to have a huge print of this in my home. This is quite an amazing image. So if you want to check out more of Parker's stuff, go to parkerjphoto.com, or Instagram is the same thing, Parker J. Pfister, at Parker J. Pfister. Parker is out of North Carolina. And the other thing that Parker does is workshops. So if you'd like to take a workshop from Parker, go to his website. You can look and see what upcoming workshops. I've always wanted to take a workshop from him, but with a wife and kids, and hey, honey, can I go spend a week with Parker and take a workshop? I'll get there. I really want to. I'd love to go hang out with him and watch him work and get to know him. Just my impression of him from afar, and we've talked to each other, but Parker is a kind, gentle soul, and that exudes off of him. So if you really want to learn from a master, go take a workshop from Parker. Okay, let's move on. So street photography. I love street photography. It's something that when I travel that I will do, grab my camera, walk the streets and see what I can see. So this image is by a photographer named, I'm going to try to pronounce his name correctly, Razz Rozzfaisal. Rozzfaisal. Razz, if I said your name wrong, I truly apologize, but your image is absolutely stunning. I love the leading lines in this. It's like the curvy lines that wind you through the image right to the subject. The red shoes, the red dress, and then the black bag all work together. And if you've noticed, I got this image off 500 pixels. 500 pixels is a great site to look at amazing photography. He took this in Kuala Lumpur, and I don't know exactly where he's from, but again, a stunning image. And go on 500 pixels, search his name, and look at more of his street images. And I did not find any social media for him, but so if you want to see more of his work, go to 500 pixels, so it's 500px.com, and search his name and see some more work. So the next image is also from 500 pixels. And landscape. 500 pixel has some really beautiful landscape images. And this is by a photographer named Martin Rak from Czech Republic. And his Instagram is martinrakphoto.com. And again, I got this off 500 pixels. But look at this image. Like, this image is so beautiful and tranquil. And it kind of, you can stare at it and look at it like you're right there. I can only imagine. That's the great thing about photography, is we all can use our imagination and kind of put ourselves in this setting. And I kind of pictured like that I was at a castle and standing on the back balcony and looking out into the vineyard, in morning at sunrise, and this beautiful light sort of covering this white tree and lighting it up from behind. And as the light slowly works its way down the hill in the front, just a stunning, beautiful image. Again, so simple. You have the simplicity of the one tree, but then you have the leading lines and the infinity of the lines that take you in and out of this image. So absolutely beautiful. So I did put also up Martin's website, bohemianjourneys.com. He as well does photo tours or photo workshops where he'll take you, I believe, out and you can go do some images and shoot like this. So if you find yourself in Europe, in the Czech Republic, look him up. And again, if you want to see stunning, beautiful images, go find him on Instagram and or at 500 pixels, and you can see more of Martin's work. So the next image, this is new. I did not do this in the last episode. I added a macro. Macro photography has kind of always fascinated me. I haven't really pursued it too much. Of course, I shoot macro images of rings at weddings on the weekends, but I've never really I guess never, but I've done a few, but I've never really taken it to this level. I mean, look how sharp and beautiful the image of this ladybug is. Again, a name that I'm gonna have a hard time pronouncing, but Ondrej Pakan, and he is from Slovakia. This is also a 500 pixel image. Now in this image, I figured everyone wanted to know, oh my gosh, what lens did he shoot this with? So it's a Canon lens and it's called an MPE65. I don't shoot Canon, so I'm not familiar with this lens, but I know people would want to know that. I mean, just, you know what fascinates me about this is even the little tiny bubbles or mist or dot, like it makes me wonder, like, was it raining? Did he actually, you know, spray the ladybug to get the light, to get these bubbles, you know, with a mister? Because that is possible. But just the little dots and how each one stands out, and you can, you know, count them, and how crystal clear is and bright and vibrant the colors are, just absolutely amazing. And I went and looked, you know, as I do when I'm putting this show together. He has a ton of macro work of ants and all sorts of things. So if you want to see some really stunning insect buggery, then you can go find him on 500 pixels as well and see more of his work. Sports. There's two reasons with this image that I wish I took that. One is it's been a lifelong bucket list to actually go to the Kentucky Derby, and I've never done it, and take a picture and just shoot the whole story. I mean, of course, if I go, I want to have access to everything so I can walk around and just do a whole photojournalistic journey of the whole thing. But maybe just going someday will satisfy my curiosity. But this image is by a photographer named Nick Didlick. And yes, that's his name, and Nick will laugh at his name too. And Nick and I are friends. I've had the pleasure of working with Nick. Nick and I have done some trainings together for Best Buy, and he actually trains Best Buy employees for the camera experience shops in Best Buy stores throughout the United States. There's special stores that actually carry professional equipment, and they're called camera experience shops. And there are roughly about 200 stores across the United States. And these employees come for like a week and get trained on their specific camera. So there's an employee in the store that knows Canon, that knows Nikon, that knows Sony, that knows Olympus, you know, and the other brands. And so specifically when I've worked with Nick on these events, I'm helping to train the people that want to learn Sony and the specific things about Sony. So what they're in the store, they're experts. But let's talk about Nick's picture. This is an absolutely stunning image. My guess, if I were to guess which lens Nick did this with, I'm guessing it might be the 24-1.4 because it's a very sharp, beautiful lens. As the horse is coming around, probably the final turn would be my guess. You have the whole grandstands in the background that are just enough out of focus that it doesn't distract from the images. The horses and the jockeys are nicely separated from the background. There's action, there's color, but I think, you know, what really makes this then again too is just seeing everyone in the background. Again, it tells the story. Depth of field is the best way to focus on what you want in something and then have the rest of the story in the background that helps complete it. So I wish I took this image because I wish that I'd be able to go to the Kentucky Derby, but also because it's such a beautiful, stunning image, well composed, beautifully shot. Nick's shot pretty much every Olympics, I think, as long as he's been alive. So again, if you want to go check out some of Nick's images, visualmediaproducer.com, and his Instagram is Nick Didlick, at Nick Didlick. Nick is Canadian, in Vancouver. We won't hold it against him. He's still a nice guy. I love him to death. If you ever meet him, like he's just like, you feel like you just met your best friend. So check out Nick Didlick. All right, let's move on. Travel. Now on every episode, I've decided, I did it in the first one, and so I'm going to keep the theme going, that I want to feature another Sony artisan so that you can become familiar with other artisans besides myself, because there's more people in the world besides just me. But Colby Brown is sort of a travel adventure photographer. And when I saw this image, he's such a nice guy. When I saw this image, I was like, wow, I was like really taken in. And I think, what takes you in, of course, are the gorilla's eyes. I mean, the beautiful orange. And the other thing that's just so like stunning is like the orange in his eyes kind of matches the orange of the teeth and the mouth, but you have that just slight hint of green in there of whatever the gorilla's eating that really helps sort of add a different element to this. I assume this was shot with a long lens because I bet you don't get too close to these gorillas. I'm wondering if he shot this in Africa. I would guess so. Where do they go? 6, 8, and 8 gorillas in the mist?
Yep.
What's the city in Africa? There's like I can't think of it. You can put it in the comments to remind me what it is. But it's one place where everybody goes to see the gorillas out in the forest. But this is such a great image. And the light, like he's got the light hitting the gorilla on just one side of the face. So one side of the gorilla is lit, but the eyes are super sharp, which is so important. So important. And now I'm not sure, but I'm guessing he didn't use this. But now Sony cameras have animal eye autofocus to guarantee that you get a shot like this. So really well done, Colby. And again, if you want to see more of Colby Brown Photography, and his Instagram is Colby Brown Photography. So go find him, look him up. You can also go to alphauniverse.com and you can find out not only about myself and Colby, but all the other artisans, and look at their work and look them up and see what else. And so finally, I like to do the last image, and I did it last time, and we're going to keep doing this, the legend image, like photographic legends. So this episode's legend is Helmut Newton. Helmut is basically known for his fashion photography. He's German descent, German born, but lived a lot and worked in New York in the United States. But I gravitated to this image. I have a book of his, which I have on the desk right now. I've always admired and loved his photography. So I have it. But this particular image, he shot for a campaign. I read, of course, a little bit about this, and it was sort of not modernizing women, but showing like back then, like bringing women into the workforce. And I believe this was shot in Australia or Amsterdam. They're close to each other, right? But I couldn't find any like one particular page that was dedicated to him. But of course, if you want to learn more about Helmut, you can go to the Wikipedia address that I have up on the screen, and you can learn more about him and his images. He shot a lot of nudes. He was a really good fine art nude photographer. Fashion. He shot a lot for Vogue. This was done for Vogue, I believe. But I just really love, again, the simplicity. Again, here's another theme, depth of field. So he's focused right on the model in the car, and appears to be hailing a cab, maybe not. But it's focused right on her, and then the city and the cars and everything else go out of focus in the background. The framing so that her arm doesn't cut through a car, that it's right underneath her. Everything is excellent about this. And of course, this was shot with film, but a beautiful image by Helmut. So I encourage you to go out and learn more about him. Now, one of the ideas that we want to do on the show is to dive into this a little bit deeper. I have a good friend, Carlos Baez, who's sort of agreed to do this. And we actually want to do a show where we spend 10 minutes talking about, particular legends more in depth, and bringing more familiarity to you to like past photographic greats, currently living and past. And so we're working on those episodes, and that should be something that you might see here in the future. But for now, I'm going to include them in I Wish I Took That. And yeah, that's it. So thank you for watching this episode of I Wish I Took That. If you want to follow us on social media, please do. We want to build everything. We're growing, but at The Pixel Show on Instagram, The Pixel Show, there's a Facebook group. Go in there and join that. At The Pixel Show on Twitter. And of course, our channel is The Pixel Show YT on YouTube. Please subscribe. Please hit the notification button. Please like us. Please tell your friends about us. And thank you for watching. I'm Robert Evans. I'm your host, and thanks for watching The Pixel Show.